everyone. I'm thrilled to welcome you all to today's webinar session on Transform, Scale, and Innovate with SAP Business Suite and SAP Business AI, hosted by Intellect Consulting. My name is Pathum. I'm part of SAP strategy team at Intellect Consulting. Intellect is an IT consulting company mainly focusing on SAP consulting. So we simplify SAP implementation to refine enterprise operations. Today, we will explore how SAP Business Suite with the power of SAP Business AI is helping organizations to support, innovate, digital transformation, and agility. So now, it's great pleasure to introduce our very special guest speaker, Angel Cruz from SAP, Vice President, Product and Engineering at SAP. Angel has over 25 years of experience in SAP products, and also he is well experienced and well-known expert in SAP Cloud. Angel, it's true honor to have you in this session with us today. We'll have an exciting event ahead. So before I start, I just need to highlight, if you have any questions, you can post it in Q&A section. So we'll try to address as much as possible during the Q&A session. And also, if you have any question, you can raise it during the Q&A session. We will unmute you so you can directly ask those questions from us. So without further delay, let's get started. Angel, it's over to you to take us through your valuable and insightful content.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you, Pathum, and thank you, friends of Intellect. When I started talking to Pathum about this session, I thought we were going to focus on business AI and then about value proposition of Grow with SAP and some other things. So after discussing the audience and your interest and a few questions that Pathum received already, I think we have shaped a good agenda for you today to present what the SAP Business Suite is all about. I know it's new for most of us for 2025, as well as a suite shift in Grow and Rise with SAP. But of course, we need to touch base on the Business Suite different pillars, including business AI and how it brings value to our corporations. So let me start sharing my screen, and then I'll tell you just a little bit more about me. As Pathum was saying, I'm part of SAP Product and Engineering. I'm a VP for the SAP Business Suite within Product Marketing, and I've been working for SAP around over 7 years now, 7.5 years. Before that, I worked for the ecosystem for some system integrators for a total of around 25 years, as Pathum was saying. Over the last 7 years, I've been focused on our product S/4HANA Cloud Public Edition that then, as you know, was marketed and positioned as Grow with SAP for our customers, and finally has transformed to complement this business suite model that we'll talk about today. So this is the agenda that we have prepared for you. We'll first talk about the business suite, then the Grow and Rise journeys and what is the focus for each of them. And finally, we'll talk about SAP Business AI. At the end of every section, I'll pause for a few questions. As I said, Pathum has already received a few, so we'll tackle those first. And we'll have also Q&A time at the end. But I encourage all of you to put your questions in the chat. We'll definitely answer them all, either live or during the presentation or in the Innovate, but I'll make sure we all have our questions answered. So let's get started with the SAP Business Suite and the value proposition for 2025 and why this is different from the SAP Business Suite that we released in 2008. So to talk to this, I always try to start from the high level, which is what is the overall value proposition, what is the solution strategy from SAP regarding the cloud solutions. As you can see here, we have the cloud ERP in the center of our strategy. And within the cloud ERP, you're going to find the different line of businesses, financial management, spend, and so on. This cloud ERP comes with best practices. It comes with pre-delivered processes that are already ready to run the moment you turn on and get provision with the SAP cloud solution. But at the same time, the fact that it is fit to standard or best practices ready to run doesn't mean the solution is not flexible, because all corporations will have different needs, especially in that last mile that need to be extended or integrated to create the value proposition for that differentiating factor that is going to be your secret sauce ahead the competition. And that's where the business technology platform come into place. This business technology platform is not only for that extension, your own extension for the solution, but it's also for the integration, because the value proposition is not just in this cloud ERP or the processes within the ERP, but it's in the end-to-end solution for each of the processes. That means it does not stay within one solution. It's not born and ends in one solution. It goes across solutions, across the 5 big processes, macro processes that I talk about in a minute. You will also see Business Data Cloud, also part of Business Technology Platform, at the center of the strategy. And this is, of course, to have that homogeneous data layer that we'll talk about also in a few minutes. Going a little up in the sunrise slide, you'll see the ecosystem solutions, which are solutions that are delivered by our partners for our customers that extend at the same time these SAP solutions. And it can be an industry flavor or a specific methodology that they have that go at the level of an industry or sub-industry and complement, as I said, this value proposition together with the industry-specific solutions that I'll talk about later as the cloud solutions that complement the cloud ERP provided by SAP. And finally, the business transformation management solutions. These are solutions like Signavio or LeanIX that accelerate with embedded AI the process mining from our customers to make sure those processes are clean and streamlined. Finally, on top, you're going to see the layer for SAP Business AI. This SAP Business AI, of course, have different dimensions, but the main one that is represented here is going to be Joule, Agentic AI, and the agents at the line of business level, as you can see, supply chain agents, spend, and so on, that will then be coordinated by Joule to provide a holistic value proposition across the SAP solutions. So now, what is the other view of this business suite? Well, I'm sure you've been also seeing this slide. I'm going to start talking from the bottom. First is the value of the SAP applications. And this is the line of business, as I mentioned. It's a cross-application focus on those macro projects, macro processes. These solutions were, these solutions were part of that business suite, original business suite, but it was not, the other 2 layers were not part of that. The first one, the SAP Business Data Cloud. And this is collecting the data and focusing the data provided by these SAP applications, almost making it homogeneous and mixing them or enriching them with non-SAP data, as well as structured and non-structured data at the same time. This data then, one is homogeneous, will feed the 3rd layer of this SAP Business Suite, which is SAP Business AI, to make sure we enrich this AI with all the data that gives all the context to Joule as an agent and the sub-agents to then produce better results. As you can see here, this arrow retrofits from Joule and that AI, retrofits the SAP applications and will improve your processes over and over time, every time that you're running. And I'll talk about that as a quality of these agents when we get to that section. So these 3 layers start, as I said, with the unparalleled applications. What are the 3 main qualities of this application layer? The first one is comprehensive. As I mentioned, the SAP portfolio will cover with the 5 macro processes that you see here: procure to pay, hire to retire, and so on. All the business processes across applications. So SAP applications complement each other to provide a holistic view of the process and a comprehensive coverage of the entire process from your company. As I said, this is through BTP, is very easy to extend and also to integrate with non-SAP solutions if we have some niche solution that is not part of the SAP solution landscape portfolio, but it still brings value to your corporation. These solutions, as I mentioned, are not just this standard content that is delivered. They're also extendable and integrable. These extensibilities are very easy to do. There are many that are low code, no code, like it could be an additional field, a custom field, or it could be a custom report that really required not much of a technical knowledge to extend the solution in many ways. No? And at the same time, the integrations, and because these integrations are many of them out of the box with SAP and non-SAP solutions. For many others, we provide APIs, which they are used then to build the integration. And finally, we provide functionality within SAP Build that are going to help you create your own API if that didn't exist. Finally, the final characteristic is industry specific, because these processes at this level, yes, they are generic and apply to most of the companies, but at the same time, the value is in the industry expertise. And that value and that flavor comes in the different sub-processes that conform each of these macro processes. And you will see, and you can see in the best practices from SAP, how you can filter by industry, and you can see, for example, retail-specific practices or public sector-specific practices that are represented in this specificity of the industry processes that you will see within the whole application landscape. So these applications then are going to generate all that data that I mentioned. This data that's going to be structured and non-structured is going to be collected by this data fabric that is SAP Business Data Cloud. And this data fabric is going to merge with other non-SAP data to provide transformative insights. Why? Because it has a lot of additional data, a lot of additional context. So it's grounded on more data and more context, making their answers more relevant to your corporation, and therefore fostering reliable AI that is more and more applicable to your organization. Which takes me to the last one of the layers, which is Business AI, which first to me is the new user interface. Why? Because when you go to Fiori now, supplemented by Joule, the user is not going to be in the system like they used to do before, just going into the different applications to see what is that they have to do and what is that the day looks like. Now with Joule and the Fiori app for you to look, it's going to make you a lot more proactive. It's going to make this a lot more actionable. It's going to tell you what is that it has to be done, how many POs have to be cut, how many sales orders are blocked, how many workflows are pending. So it's going to shape that day of the user in a proactive way, in a way that the user doesn't have to dig and understand what is that they're going to do. And then once they understand what is the next step, what is the next things that they have to do, if they don't know how to do them, then when Joule is going to help them. So that's why it's the new user interface, because it's going to help them navigate the solution. It's going to give them all the information that they need. It's going to help them transact even within the system, or it's going to even give them reports, as you can see down there in one of those screenshots, at all levels: laptop, browser, phone, etc., etc. This AI layer of AI is going to accelerate also cloud transformation because it's embedded across all applications, particularly in LeanIX and Signavio, to help that process mining and making sure that the process that is put in place is tailored to the company and is also based on the best practices and extended as it should be, and efficient and streamlined. But obviously, we innovate with impact. And what this means is we understand the context of our customers. We have customer councils, and we only release up to now 400 plus use cases by 2025 in the embedded part that is going to be impactful to the customer. So we analyze what are the possibilities in these use cases, and then we, of course, prioritize based on those that provide the most impact for our customers. So these three layers, this SAP Business AI, this SAP Business Suite, is now focused on the different personas. Why? Because when we have those 5 macro processes, we see that they touch different line of businesses as they go and at the beginning or at the end of the middle of the processes. So each of these processes bring a different value proposition for our customers and the personas that conform these customers. Now, for example, the CFO, or the CEO, or the CIO. So this now SAP Business Suite with the macro process and the 3 layers that I described are going to be tailored to these personas to show them what is the benefit that they obtain from the different layers of this business suite. So that is the SAP Business Suite. So I'm going to move into how do we bring our customers to the SAP Business Suite. Patrick, do you have any questions?
Just an interruption, Angel. So since you have spoke about SAP Business Data Cloud, so right now organizations are faces challenges when bringing data from multiple platforms into a single layer. Right, they are having a multiple third-party applications, and bringing those data into a single layer kind of a challenging task. So how does this SAP Business Data Cloud make it easy for any organization?
Absolutely, thank you. So that's a great question. Let me go back here. So Business Data Cloud is going to collect the SAP data and non-SAP data, structured and non-structured data. And that data, let's call them from the SAP side, let's call them a junction of tables of CDS views are going to generate data products. These data products are going to be, some of them delivered out of the box. Some others are going to be also delivered out of the box, but they're not going to be SAP generated. They're going to be done by our partners. And those partners will give us those data products if their solution is in the landscape. And those products will be then mixed with the SAP data in a harmonized way to create that single business data fabric layer that I mentioned, and then be consumed to what is called intelligent apps or inside apps. Those apps are going to merge those different data products, as I said, SAP and non-SAP, to a harmonized layer to be consumed then for artificial intelligence. So to your question, Patton, is going to make it easy because we're going to have equivalent apples to apples at the data product level that then is going to be mixed to produce these intelligent apps to then be consumed through extensions or reports.
Yeah, super. Yeah.
Do you have any other?
So yeah, there's another question, Angel. So from the business continuity perspective, how does SAP Business Data Cloud support agility and resilience?
All right. So yeah, this is the thing, and let me go back then to this view. As we said, it all starts with the data that is generated, which is the most important data of the company because it's generated across all lines of business. So that data collected by Business Data Cloud will then feed Business AI, which is basically gonna do things for the user. They will run tasks, they will execute transactions with or without user supervision, depending on how we choose Joule to do it. But those things that are executed and supervised and finally approved by the user and so on will then bring it back to the SAP applications by characteristics of the agents. One of them is going to be the analysis, one of them the plan. So that reflection that Joule agents can perform will make sure that next time that we run the exact same process in these SAP applications, whatever the process is and whatever the solution is going to be run better. So it kind of self-improve. So the next time that this data is generated to Business Data Cloud and collected by Business Data Cloud, that data is already going to be better. So that's how this agility and this self-improvement as a characteristic of Joule and agentic AI in general within SAP Business AI will help the company get more smooth in the way they run and better and more agile and adapt to changes in sales orders or customers' requirements or anything related to our suppliers every time that we run every day. That's the...
Yeah, super. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Do you have any other?
No. Thanks.
All right. So perfect. Thank you for those. Those are great questions. So this is, as I mentioned, how we or where we are going. We are bringing our customers the SAP Business Suite with one destination and the 3 different layers that I mentioned. So now, how do we get them there? That's these 2 journeys, is Rise with SAP and Grow with SAP. And these journeys are focused on, depending on the starting point of our customer. So if our customers already have SAP solutions, they are what we call installed base, they are running an SAP ERP, then that customer will use the Rise with SAP journey to get to the SAP Business Suite. If that is a company that is not running an SAP ERP solution, then those customers will follow the Grow with SAP journey. So they are starting fresh, they're implementing SAP solution for the first time versus Rise with SAP, which is for those customers that want to modernize the landscape and come into the Business Suite in 1 or more steps. So how's the Grow with SAP journey? We double click on it. The Grow with SAP journey is going to start fresh. It's going to present all those solutions that I mentioned that covered the SAP Business Suite, and it's going to be focused on simplicity, transparency, and the capabilities that come with our solution, with our Cloud ERP S/4HANA Cloud Public Edition. Those will then be joined by some methodologies, tools, and accelerators that are going to help this accelerated adoption to go live in weeks, 10, 12, 15 weeks, with this greenfield approach that is going to bring the best value in the minimum time. For the Rise with SAP journey, what is different? As I said, these are customers that are using an SAP ERP as their main solution, and that can be ECC or S/4HANA Cloud, S/4HANA on-premise. That we are moving this existing landscape, this monolithic, where normally we have a lot of development and extensions and so on, into the Business Suite in different steps, depending on the maturity and the ability of the customer and how many of those, after the analysis, how many of those extensions and developments need to be brought into the Business Suite. And this can be done through a greenfield, as I mentioned, like a new customer would do, but it can also be through a brownfield. And these brownfield will then, of course, have different tools that are going to help analyze the data that is existing, or it's going to help analyze those extensions that exist right now to understand how is the system being used, what processes are used, what processes are not used, and how do we bring those or not to the SAP Business Suite. So that different approach is because the source is different and there is already an SAP ERP in place. And of course, this brownfield will then bring a different outcome, and maybe the customer is not ready to come directly to S/4HANA Cloud Public Edition as part of the Business Suite, and then we go into S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition. And then it's also joined by all the different solutions that are, for example, the Signavio Process Insight that are going to help them identify that is a big practice that can be adopted versus those processes that are very customized and need to be brought over in a lift and ship mode. So these ones, whether it's Rise with SAP or Grow with SAP, we're talking about those best practices, whether it's the starting fresh or the brownfield, public cloud or private cloud. We will be bringing those best practices that are out of the 50 years that are from SAP's experience and running in the top companies. At the same time, we'll be focused on those personas that I mentioned earlier that are different areas of a company. But at the same time, we'll be then extended and integrated via business technology platform, because this business technology platform is going to allow me to extend that solution in many ways. As I mentioned, you're going to integrate the solution with non-SAP solutions. It's going to bring that business data cloud into the picture, and it also hosts Jewel, who lives in the business technology platform, as part of their holistic SAP Business Suite. So let's talk about Business AI, unless you have any more questions.
Yeah, we have a few questions, Angel. So if it is a growing company, if they grow with SAP, so how, at which level that pre-configured industry best practices are there, and how those are customizable for a growing business?
Absolutely. So thank you for that. That's a great question, Tom. So Grow with SAP, as I mentioned, is the journey for our new customers who do not have SAP ERP running as of now. So the first thing that we're going to do is, I'm going to go back to my Grow journey. The first thing that we're going to do is we are going to run the digital discovery assessment, which is a solution that is free to use, included in the license and in the analysis before even it's a customer, to understand what are the different processes that the customer is running out of the 700 plus that we have available as best practices, or how we call it, scope items that are going to be conforming that or shaping that landscape and that ERP. Then those processes will be marked, identified, and activated once the contract is signed in 48 hours. So in 48 hours, you will have as your set of processes, best practices out of the box, already available in a system called the starter system that comes pre-configured and with sample data loaded, meaning 48 hours after you sign a contract with SAP, you already have a solution with data and configured to start testing those processes that you activated. That doesn't mean those processes is going to be all you need. You're going to extend and integrate those processes, as I mentioned a couple of times previously. And that is where business technology platform comes into place. So the first thing, after you get that starter system and you start that implementation project, then you go into the fit to standard workshop, which is where your system integrator or SAP will go through those processes that were selected as part of your ERP, and then it's going to be a show and tell, demoing those processes, going through an entire analysis of the data flow, and also presenting in that system. And then you will identify those last mile requirements that bring value to your organization, those differentiating factors that I mentioned earlier that make you different from the competition, and those are the ones that will then be part of that list of extensions or backlog that then will be during the design designed to complement the solution that was provided out of the box, and then finally be tested and bring live as soon as possible. Does that answer the question, Pato?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
you have any other?
I had another question in mind, but you have answered that as well. So thanks.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. 2 for 1.
Yeah.
Very good. So let's talk about Business AI. And Business AI, I wanted to talk about it in a more visual way. So as you see here in this presentation, we have embedded different videos of functionality. So I will be explaining the use cases that we have, but I thought it would be better if you can actually see them, because it's quite self-explanatory, the value that they bring to organizations. And of course, the fact that we're still working on it and we have many use cases that are coming. As I said, we have around 400 planned by the end of 2025. It was 150 at the end of 2024. That means that you'll see that disclaimer saying that some of these things are still to be released. And for this, I wanted to start with the bigger picture. And I talk about Suite first already and AI first, so I will not go through this again, but I will go through the strategy for SAP Business AI. So we have three different layers of AI embedded in our systems. The first one is here at the center of this slide, is the embedded AI capabilities. As you heard previously, we have different lines of business within our solutions, across solutions, if you wish. Those have embedded AI capabilities, and we started working on this many years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, mainly with machine learning, with automation, automating many of these processes. This now has been, of course, joined with capabilities from LLM AI as well as agentic AI to complement these embedded AI capabilities. Then we have a second one, which is down here, which is the AI Foundation. This is based out of the SAP Business Unit platform, and this helps you enhance and even create your own use cases with AI, agentic AI or non-agentic AI. So it's going to help you create AI basically. And at the same time, it's going to help us integrate with other companies, our partners, to bring part of the good things they are doing, integrated in the solution, or even just connect with them, with their solutions in a way that I'll show later with a video. The third one, and I mentioned Joule earlier, is Joule and the agentic AI. And this is to coordinate Joule, to coordinate these agents and these Gen AI use cases across all the applications in SAP, and you'll see them in a few solutions during those videos that I mentioned. This data that is going to fit this, of course, as I mentioned, is going to come from SAP Business Data Cloud to make sure we have the best outcomes from our AI, and that from this unified data layer, data fabric. Okay, so let's talk about the embedded AI capabilities first. And for this, as I mentioned, we are targeting 400 embedded use cases in 2025. So we are still ahead of our schedule in these 5 months that we've done already 2025. But for this, I wanted to say that even the use cases are going to be aligned to those personas. Why? Because they have different needs, like the CFO. High-powered financial forecasting is going to bring her a lot of value. Or the CHRO, the AI-infused workforce planning, to create the new opportunities or to create some interviewing process or generate many other use cases that we'll see later. So let me start with finance, and we'll go through some of these line of businesses one by one so you see what I'm talking about. But I wanted to go a little more detail on the finance part. As you see here, Natalie, the CFO for this company, has one of her macro or level 2 processes, this plan to organize, to analyze, and improve with the multiple steps. So planning, budgeting, and forecasting, management, accounting, financial data gathering, consolidation, and so on. In each of these sub-processes within this larger process, you're going to see some of those embedded use cases that are applicable. So for example, when they are planning, budgeting, and forecasting, they can just ask questions in natural language. Or when are recording the data, they can do automated emission for the mapping of the emissions. Or when we go to the consolidations, they have these financial business insights and so on. And it is precisely this financial business insights, the one that I want to show you today. So the next thing I'm going to do is going to show you this AI-assisted financial business, which we expect that is going to be performed not by the CFO, but for example, the financial analyst. And we expect and we experience, customer experience, around a 50% reduction in the time of the analysis of, for example, this cost center report that I'll show in a minute, as well as 65% in the reduction of the summarization. Because in this case, as you'll see, we're going to get this booklet. This booklet is going to be full of data, rows and columns, and the system is going to give you an accelerated analysis of the things that are to be highlighted and to be summarized. So with that, we expect a 2x acceleration on decision making based on this cost center booklet. So let's take a look at this video.
Jesse is an overhead accountant in a mid-sized company finance department. Today, close to the end of the first fiscal quarter, Jesse needs to prepare a high-level expense report summary for her CFO. She decides to utilize the new Cost Center Review booklet app and to open the respective variant she prepared for reviewing purposes. Jesse is under time pressure, and she opens the new Generative AI side panel that provides multiple quick actions to tackle typical cost center reporting topics. First, Jesse likes to know which cost center is the one with the highest deviation compared to the previous year. Next, she asks to identify potential drivers for the cost centers with high deviation. And finally, Jesse asks for generating a summary and learns that overall, the company seems to have increased costs in 2024 compared to 2023, but that there seem to be some incorrect bookings that Jesse can now investigate further.
So as you could see, there is the report, the application that Jesse was executing is the same that she put in the past, but in addition to the analysis that you can do of those cost centers and the values that show up summarized in there, you also have some next actions that are going to be brought by this use case with definable tasks. So those comparisons year to year, quarter to quarter are the things that I mentioned we can configure or extend in addition to the summarization that is going to then highlight whatever it is that needs to be highlighted in that booklet. These, as I mentioned, are use cases that are out of the box, but they can be enhanced by our partners and our customers. So let's talk about sales now. And in this case, I want to talk about this order return process. In this case, you'll see we start the return of an order, receive the goods, inspection, compensate, customer compensation, and then tracking the return. As you'll see all these steps, there is one highlighted here in blue, the reception of the base input recommendation for the initial creation of this return to be accelerated. And here what you'll see this more and more is just recommendations on values that statistically will be likely to be needed or to be filled out by the user, in this case already proposed by the solution. And in this case, as you'll see, they're going to be highlighted in blue, and it can be accepted or it can also be changed by the user as we go. So let's take a look at this video.
Yael is a returns and refund clerk who uses the Manage Customer Returns application to create a customer return. Let's see how AI services which have been trained on specific datasets can be leveraged to optimize the transaction process. Yael enters the customer ID and the top one recommended returns order reason is immediately offered to him. He can now easily create an item for the return. Just like before, Yael enters the product ID, which triggers the recommendation. The probability of the recommended value is greater than 70%, so the system pre-fills the empty field with the value as a blue placeholder and highlights the field. Yael goes on to select additional fields. Along with the selected follow-up activity, the recommendations are more accurate. Yael has a chance to confirm the recommendation on each field by accepting the value, and he can also ignore the recommendations and enter his own values instead. And with that, Yael has created a customer return assisted by AI, which increases his work efficiency and prevents errors.
And this is a great example on how the system will self-improve over time, right? Those recommendations we get better and better, even though they will be trained with the data that the customer has in the system, but they will get better and better as they go with new data, and those changes, those fields, those recommendations are updated because something was not what we were expecting. So we will get better and better data and better recommendation over time as the system gets used. Another one that I wanted to share with you is this smart summarization. It's also part of sales. It's part of the sales order summarization, and it actually has already improved. As you'll see, the summarization is going to help you summarize certain fields. Now, the newer version actually lets you choose which fields you want them to summarize, so it's more customizable. So it's going to allow you to summarize those screens that are sales order with probably tens of those fields into those that are relevant for you in order to communicate with your colleague or with a customer, and then be more efficient in that communication. So let's look at it.
Megan is an internal sales representative in a mid-sized customer sales department who typically works collaboratively with sales managers, customer account clerks, and warehouse clerks. Today, Megan needs to notify Quinn, one of the warehouse clerks, to ask for their help with unblocking a sales order. Megan summarizes all information of the order, quickly checks the content, and modifies some text directly in the summary. With a simple copy and paste, this business-critical information is transferred to an email, where Megan can do final adjustments. Collaboration made easy. Jumpstart your communications with smart summarization.
And that's going to help us not only with not having to copy-paste or misplace numbers, but also help us remove the need from executing a report or anything that's going to give me the data that I want to communicate to my colleague. And I wanted to go to AI in services now. In this case, is for project staffing, for project matching. And you'll see here that the value proposition of this reduction of 33 reduction in time of staff to staff a request is brought to you by the content that is not just populated of skills of certain consultants, but it's also taking information from previous staffing. So they may be, a consultant may say that they have expertise implementing SAP ERP, S/4HANA Cloud ERP procurement, but doesn't say anything about sales, for example. But if the previous assignments were related to SAP S/4HANA Cloud sales, then the system will capture it to refine what is already embedded in those categories of skills with the actual expertise. So let me show you this.
In the dynamic world of project management, resource managers face the challenge of finding the perfect match for a staffing request. Take the example of how Greta, a resource manager, logs into the system and processes a new resource request. Greta receives a notification about a newly created resource request to staff a senior consultant, and she navigates directly to the resource request. In the Matching Resources section, Greta gets a comprehensive overview of possible candidates. In addition to the existing skills match, the Advanced Skill Match provides a matching based on similar skills and allows to identify additional candidates who have not maintained the requested skills in their profile. Looking closer at Jocelyn Holt's Advanced Skill Match, Greta sees that the requested skills are Scrum Master, Facilitation, and Communication. Jocelyn didn't maintain all the requested skills in her profile, but she has additional skills like interpersonal skills and project management, and is therefore proposed as a possible candidate for this request. With the Advanced Skill Match, it is becoming easier to find skilled candidates for your projects.
Right. So you see the new function from SAP Business AI in this case enhances what was already there. No? And then I wanted to show you last one that goes across SAP, in this case the ERP, no? But it was already available in SAP Analytics Cloud in SAC. And it's going to be this easy filter, because what we do is instead of having to go through those big screens, big filtering screen and choosing the filter and typing and so on, we are now able to use natural language to do the filters, which then are transferred actually into the classic mode of the filtering. So let me show you this one.
Megan is a new internal sales representative in a mid-sized customer sales department. Part of her job involves checking in on the in-process sales orders for her most important customers so that she can take action when needed. To quickly filter for the relevant business data, Megan uses the AI-assisted Easy Filter to narrow down the long list of sales orders with natural language. Streamline your filtering experience to quickly get the information you need with Easy Filter.
All right. I apologize. I think that sound was a little weird. All right. So that was embedded AI capabilities within the different solutions as you saw, success factors or the cloud ERP, customer experience, and so on. Let's go to SAP AI Foundation. Yes, pardon?
So there's a few questions in my mind, Angel. So it's great to see that SAP came up with processes with embedded AI. So my question is, so if we need to utilize those processes with embedded AI, does it require additional training or preparation with historical data?
Good question. Yeah, thank you. So the embedded AI, those AI capabilities are out of the box and they are pre-trained. Of course, that pre-training is going to get more and more tailored to the customer as they generate data, even because it was loaded as part of the initial cutover or because it was user generated as part of the regular operations. In addition, you'll see that they are very obvious in the sense that what they do and where they add value. No? So maybe it requires some awareness from the user. So maybe we have to tell them that they have this smart summarization within the sales orders or the capabilities in the cost center booklet that I mentioned earlier, but not extra training required apart from that awareness, because they're very self-explanatory, as you can see with the Easy Filter, for example.
Okay, got it. And other thing, Angel, so most of the organizations are having that company-specific customizations with us. Even they move to cloud or the private cloud, they might have to bring some of the customization into the cloud as well. So how could those customization affect on ability to utilize those embedded AI features?
Absolutely. So you'll see, and again, great question. You'll see that these embedded AI capabilities are, of course, part of these standard best practices, so pre-delivered content by SAP. But at the same time, they are extendable. So, for example, if we go into that summarization for the sales order I was showing earlier, if it turns out that the customer has a custom field, for example, for whatever the field it is related to the sales office, well, they will be able to enhance that embedded AI use case through the corresponding tools from SAP to then develop one that fits the need. In this case, it would be to add that custom field. So they can be, we will bring those if it's customization that they've done during the implementation or that is brought through a brownfield or whatever the case may be for the origin of that additional extension, that can be brought into the AI capabilities for these embedded use cases.
Okay. Yeah, got it. Super. Yeah.
Good. You have any other?
No, all good for the moment. Yeah.
All right, perfect. So let's talk about AI foundation now and what is brought, of course, within SAP Business Technology Platform. And this is what is going to help you, as I was just mentioning, to create your own use cases or to customize what is delivered out of the box by SAP. So here we have the different tools that are part of this AI foundation, services, lifecycle management, and business data and context. There are tools that are going to help you extend and integrate. But at the same time, this Gen AI that is going to be that's powered by powering these extensions, you're going to see available in all applications. So you're going to see that is in all application and all the tools that your users are using. This is not only where you can customize, as I mentioned, these AI use cases, but it's all create your own, but it's also what we use to extend the integration or integrations with our partner ecosystem. So not only you can integrate and extend with SAP tools, but non-SAP tools out of this ecosystem that we have with Amazon and so on. So there is, and I wanted to show you a video here on how we integrate with Microsoft solutions, in this case, Microsoft Teams and Microsoft Copilot, to make sure, I don't know, maybe I have to get rid of this laser pointer. Good. Which is going to be showing you the case on when it's not just embedded use case within SAP application, but we just integrate, for example, in this case, with, as I mentioned, SAP, Microsoft Copilot and Microsoft Teams. So all your applications in your organizations are fully integrated from the AI point of view. So this is a YouTube video that I wanted to share also the link. Maybe we'll share this later, Patton, which is the link to this playlist, because this playlist is going to give you updated data, updated videos on the latest from SAP. So let's show you this video. Maybe I'm going to make this larger.
Imagine you're about to organize your next team offsite meeting. Let's see how our latest AI innovation can support you. Imagine you're about...
Okay, so let me stop sharing and sharing again, because I think there is something with the... I don't know if you hear just fine from your side, but I want to share again because I was hearing some noises.
Yeah, that would be better.
Let me share again. Okay. Can you see my screen again?
Yes, we can see.
Very good. So let me play, see if we'll get better luck here.
Organize your next team offsite meeting. Let's see how our latest AI innovation can support you. First things first. To make sure everyone is informed, you can simply create a Microsoft Teams channel and directly add the project members so everyone can stay up to date. For sure, the team will ask you about business travel policies and daily allowances, and you want to stay compliant. No need to navigate somewhere else in the system. You can access the source documentation straight away in the chat with Joule. Now the big challenge of every offsite, identifying the days when everyone is available. Instead of getting lost in the mix of calendars, you can now leverage the bidirectional integration between Joule and Microsoft Copilot for Microsoft 365 to find the most suitable times. Once defined, a calendar blocker can be automatically created, and your team members will directly receive an invitation email. As this is an international group, people will be flying in from different countries, and finding suitable, compliant flights is not straightforward. Better to let Joule do the work. It will suggest the best options for the participants based on their location from SAP SuccessFactors, and allow them to simply book their flights through SAP Concur. Once it's ready, the overview can be sent in the Microsoft Teams group chat. You're almost ready to go with a stress-free offsite. and you've managed everything directly in Joule. Also, whenever you need a cost recap, you can retrieve all the information and share it quickly in your chat. The integration between Joule and Microsoft Copilot is not just about efficiency. It's a whole new experience. So, when is your next team offsite?
All right, so as you can see there, this is it's a whole new game, right? Wait, next. It's a whole new game because now we are in Joule, and this is across applications, right? So you can be in Joule in your Cloud ERP, or you can be in Joule in SuccessFactors or whatever it is. And then we decide that we need a meeting, and that integrates with the calendars from Copilot, and that once it's confirmed, integrates with Concur for Concur expense and Concur travel, right? So it's all the whole platform comes together and is brought together not only from the data point of view, as I was mentioning earlier with Business Data Cloud, but also from the application usage and transactional point of view, which is, as you saw, bringing extreme efficiencies to the corporation, right? So let's talk about Joule, unless you have any questions on this, Pato.
No, all good for the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Good. So let's talk about Joule and agentic AI. And here I'm going to talk about Copilot, agent, and of course the agent builder. Because as you may know, Joule started as a Copilot. It was actually named SAP Copilot in the past. Then it was evolved, and finally, when agentic AI came into place, Joule became the coordinator of all agents. So right now we have around 1,300 skills. That was the end of last year. We can do multi-languages. I think we have 11 languages where Joule is available in. We have document grounding that is assisted or to enhance the experience. We have across business processes, as I mentioned, agents that quote unquote report to Joule that are coordinated by Joule. We have Joule at all levels, as you saw earlier in a screenshot, at all in all these devices, and we have Joule Studio to enhance the current abilities or to create journeys, and the 4 patterns that I mentioned earlier that I go over in a minute again. But it's not only for our customers, it's also for our partners. We have Joule for consultants and Joule for developers as well. Joule for consultants is going to help consultants get faster to the customization point, or even know from scratch for a junior consultant how to get to the certain, or what to configure to get certain business outcome. At the same time, this one is going to help read and interpret some code for ABAP code. For SAP for developers, will actually generate code, a drafted code that then can be tuned and fine-tuned by the developers, or it can be tested within Joule. So we are expanding more and more the capabilities of Joule, but it's, as you'll see, a complete game changer from the agentic AI point of view. It is unified, as you saw it embedded in a few videos within our Cloud ERP, for example, or you saw it also in SuccessFactors. It is the same Joule, meaning it is, if you are in SuccessFactors and with your unified landscape, the user goes back to the ERP, you will be able to continue your conversation. So it has historic memory, and you can continue discussing the same topic. And it's embedded in the UI. It is embedded, as I mentioned, it lives in the business technology platform, even though you're going to see coupled with all every solutions. And it comes with those 1,300 capabilities, more now, and it can also be helping create new capabilities or enhance the current capabilities. As you'll see down here, the availability of Joule is across the entire SAP Cloud portfolio at this point. So it is also, I mentioned this earlier, it's also aligned to the different different line of businesses, human resources helping with recruitment, sales with the management, with IT code generation through the SAP, the Joule for developers, or sourcing, for example, creating an RFP. So the reason why we talk about it from a persona point of view is because it brings a different value proposition to each of them that needs to be highlighted and evaluated. So what are the 4 interaction patterns that we have with Joule? The first one, informational. I can ask Joule information on any SAP data inside your solution, so with your data, or outside for anything that is in SAP help documentation. It is always going to be grounded, as you can see here, with the solution data that is available for them. Navigational, I can go and ask Joule to take me to a certain point, not only for certain application, like let's go take me, how do I create a cost center, for example, or how to create a journal entry. It also want to help me, it's take me to other with SAP for consultants, navigation to consulting or configuration points. So this capability is going to help me accelerate the way I look for things and find things, right? It's also going to help me with transactions. So you can actually do things. You can ask them, like here, amend this order position. So it's going to go into this position and it can change it for you. And it can send it, kick off the workflow and so on. So it can actually do things with or without user approval, depending on what we want to do. And finally, it can generate, and this is about to be released, it can generate reports on the fly, like you can see here, sustainability supply chain consultant, for across the solution, across all solutions. And these reports help you not having to go to a certain report, not having to go and search for the application, execute. It can just actually create it for you directly on the Joule window. So I'm going to show you one video about the search and informational and navigational capabilities and the benefits that it brings. As you can see, the acceleration is tremendous. So the benefits and the decrease on the time dedicated to these informational and navigational tasks is decreased significantly. In this case, Tara is going to be searching for something. So let me play this.
With Joule, you can now gain fast insights into your business objects, such as purchase orders and purchase requisitions. You can also navigate to applications in the areas of sales, finance, professional services, and, as shown here, procurement. Terry is a new purchaser who uses Joule to execute their tasks in a more efficient way. Joule returns precise answers to their questions, so they can get their job done quickly and complete the tasks at hand. Using the conversational search, Joule leverages user enablement content like SAP's help portal documentation and summarizes the information in a crisp answer. With Joule, Terry can seamlessly access the content that matters to them.
Angel, it seems like that video is a bit lagging, so it's done anyway, right?
Yeah, I think it's something must have happened because the previous one were just working fine. So let me again try to share again, because the previous view worked just fine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I only have one more anyway. So may have to actually. All right, so I wanted to share. Okay, I wanted to share one Joule use case, and hopefully this one sounds fine. I think the Microsoft Teams takes a lot of the resources of the machine, so it may need some coffee. So in supply chain, I want to show the benefits for you here in the natural language creation for this back order processing. So as you can see here, the different steps: sales order, the back order, and then transportation and the planning all the way to the invoice. And let's see how Joule can help this back order processing, and let's hope for better sound. Yeah, it seems like it's gonna.
Alex Porter, in the role of an order fulfillment manager, is working since 6 months in this role and is meanwhile an expert. Alex knows that, besides supply or demand changes, business priorities and profitability goals also influences the order fulfillment. He uses ATP as the order promising solution in SAP S/4HANA Public Cloud to address those aspects. As one of his recurring tasks, he checks the orders in ATP to reflect latest supply and demand changes. Instead of manually executing this task for each order, Alex uses natural language to interact with SAP's digital assistant Joule to give Joule a clear ask to support him in his task. Joule derives from Alex's request the required information and provide an answer. In addition, Joule proposes to use backorder processing for mass ATP check of orders that are due for delivery in the next 2 days. Since Alex has experience in working with backorder processing, he is confident in directly executing the BOP. The BOP run is executed by checking the selected requirements in ATP in a mass way and update the confirmation within the orders. The BOP run is finished successfully, and Joule provides a summary of the run to Alex. To see more details, Alex decides to navigate to the Monitor BOP Run app. Alex finds all the orders being processed by BOP grouped by material plan combination. He can decide to either drill down to further details or to trigger follow-up activities to further improve the order fulfillment.
The one played well, right?
Yeah, it's great.
You think I have to play the previous one, or was it good enough?
I think that is good enough. So
Okay,
that's great. Yeah.
All right. So what is then the buzz with SAP Joule as an agentic AI and the coordinator, right? So as you may know, AI agents are now able to solve start to finish complex prompts. So rather than those more simple prompts of, for example, the ones that predict what the next step is or the next field has to be populated with and so on, which is a statistic. These are able to complete complex tasks by planning. So you would take the full task, analyze it, plan it, is going to assign it and split it to different line of business. So this task goes to the supply chain agent while the other task goes to the finance agent. It can use different tools. So these tools can also be aligned to depending on the agent, depending on what the agent scope is. So for those that are simple agents, maybe don't need any tool. For those that are more complex, may need calculators or use some APIs, etc., etc. And as I said earlier, it can reflect and self-correct what they have produced. And that is when it goes back to the applications, as I mentioned earlier, for the next time that process is run to run better and more efficiently. And finally, collaboration and multi-agent. This is, to me, one of the keys of it all. Based to complement this planning, it will be able to assign those tasks to sub-agents to then be resolved and brought back up to the coordinator agent, in this case, Joule, to provide the final answer, to have covered the solution start to finish, or the prompt start to finish, but coordinating it in a way that's going to show us a consistent reply, right? So I think I mentioned most of this, so I'm not going to go through this again, but I wanted to throw it in here so you guys can take a look later. And then these are more the use cases that I mentioned earlier during the previous explanation. You'll see some additional examples here, for example, this peer case. This is representing how the Joule agents are structured. You're going to have, first, you're going to have Joule. Of course, you're going to have some sourcing agent because it's assigned to the one of the line of business, one of those personas, in this case, the CPO, but at the same time, they're going to be sub-agents. And they go more and more specific. So, for example, you have a dispute management agent, or you're going to have an code agent, recruiting, and they may have sub-agents under them. So at the end of the day, there are going to be some tasks that are going to be executed for these agents that then is going to roll all the way up to the agent, and then from the agent will roll up all the way to you where it was the prompt was generated. So in finance, for example, you have Joule, then you have Joule agentic AI for finance, and then within it, you're going to have account receivable, for example. Okay. So in addition to that, agents that are provided by SAP, you can create your agents with a tool that is very simple to use. It's Joule Build. So I wanted to show Joule Studio. So I wanted to show you a video on how easy it is, again, to take the out-of-the-box solution and enhance it or extend it. So let me play this video.
Creating custom agents tailored to your organization is now straightforward using Joule Studio in SAP Build. For example, imagine your business is growing and you want to renegotiate supplier contracts for increased volume. How about creating a new Joule agent that will develop a strategy to support you in your negotiations? Let's walk through the steps to create a new Joule agent from scratch. In a first step, we describe the purpose of this Joule agent. Joule will guide us through the process. We want the Joule agent to help procurement managers develop a strategy to negotiate better pricing and terms. Next, our Joule agent needs a name. Here are some suggestions, and I can generate even more. Let's call it the Pricing Negotiator. Joule then takes us to the build page and fills out the basic information. It analyzes the description, and from this generates an avatar and a banner image. Cool. We're ready to walk through some steps to onboard our agent. We set the bounds of the agent's role in the business by assigning it to a business process. Joule uses SAP Knowledge Graph, which encodes SAP's decades of expertise in business processes to suggest the correct sub-process within the source-to-pay process. That looks great, so let's continue. Joule agents can do more complex tasks through collaboration. That's why we want to connect our pricing negotiator to other agents. Here, you can see some suggestions, and all of them look great, so let's add them. I check out the AI team, and all agents I added are there. Additionally, you can add third-party agents. I want to add Microsoft 365 Copilot, so I search for it and then add it to the team in just one click. Data is key to ensure our Joule agent is grounded in business context. And thanks to context provided by SAP Business Data Cloud and SAP Knowledge Graph, it's simple to identify and add the most relevant data products. In this case, contract, invoice, payment history, and more. If I want to add externally sourced information, such as third-party benchmarking, this is straightforward. I just search and then add it. Next, we want to equip our agent with the tools it needs to take action in our business applications. We want to give our price negotiator access to the functional library of Joule skills, such as invoice management and supplier search skills. I will accept these. We need to define when the pricing negotiator will be active, and this is done via triggers. We have multiple options here. The default is calling it directly from Joule, but we'd create a schedule or link it to another process. I'll accept the default for now. Joule agents work in collaboration with humans, so here we define how they'll interact with employees. As we all use Microsoft Teams, I'll set that as the primary communication channel. Up until now, we have focused on giving our Joule agent the business context it needs to do its job. Now we need to equip it with an aptitude to apply that context to create sourcing strategies. With all the information we've provided so far, Joule summarizes its understanding of what the agent will do. This is in the form of key objectives and the tools that it will use. If required, we can add additional constraints. For example, if a supplier has deliveries overdue more than 90 days, we will not negotiate with them until the deliveries are resolved. Now we can decide if we want to use a reasoning model. Reasoning models will help the pricing negotiator make more nuanced judgments for better performance. And that's a clear yes. I can further configure the reasoning model, but for now, that all looks good. That means it's now time to test the agent. Joule takes me to the test mode page, and I'm going to type in a test prompt. Our Joule agent starts to reason, plan, and act using all the business context, tools, and other agents as needed to decide on the best strategy. And just like that, here's our negotiations plan. And this is excellent. I can see the information provided by the RFQ, key negotiation tactics, risks, and even alternatives. And right at the end of it, there's a concise summary. And that's how easy it is to create custom Joule agents that help your teams work better and your business operate more efficiently.
So even though, as you say, even though you can create your engines, as you can see, it really is very simple to create one, and it's also assisted. So extending and integrating the agents that come out of the box and the capabilities that come with the agents is actually very simple. So I think this is all I had for you. Do you have more questions, Fatum?
Yeah, the one question from Joule Angel. So yeah, it's great tool, Joule, SAP's AI Copilot. So anyone, I mean, it makes life easier for maybe SAP user or SAP consultant or anyone who is using SAP. So I'm worrying about, so organizations are normally looking for the options to find out inefficient processes and where they can improve the efficiency of the processes. So does Joule support to find out those inefficient processes and where we can improve the efficiencies?
Correct. Yes, it does, because it's going to point out those processes within Signavio. So as you go into the process, that would be in the process mining, when you are analyzing Signavio insights and Signavio process navigators, you're going to see the best practices, so standard processes, and you're going to see the usage, and the Signavio insights will be able, with Joule assistance, to show you where those inefficiencies are in the process.
Right. Together with Signavio, it does that, right? Yeah.
That's part of that business transformation acceleration that I was mentioning earlier.
Okay. So, yeah, I think all good from my end.
Perfect. Do you have any other thing?
Yeah, since we have another 10 minutes left. So if anyone have any question, so you can raise your hand. Yeah.
Stop sharing.
So any questions, you can raise your hand.
Seems like everything was pretty clear.
Yeah. Actually, it's a detailed explanation.
Good.
You covered lots of area, actually.
We did. Thank you. I think Tigini has a question. You gotta mute yourself.
Yeah. So my question is on SAP Grow. So I've heard when it comes to SAP Grow, and if I need to integrate other third-party solutions, it's a bit difficult. What is your view on that?
I would disagree, Lini, and the reason is we have, through BTP, we have 750 plus integrations that are out of the box, so integrations that are created by SAP and native. Then we have 700 plus APIs, and those APIs you can find it in the SAP API Hub. And then in addition to that, you can, if none of those out of the box are available, and you cannot create that integration with what SAP provides you, or the integration is not there, you can create now your own API. So there is a possibility that it's not out of the box, but it is unlikely that you cannot integrate any third-party solution with your cloud ERP. I hope that answers.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. We have one more question.
Yeah, we have Tilini.
No, not me. It's Ishan.
Ishan.
Yeah, Amanda, can you support me to unmute Tilini? Tilini Samaranayaka.
Yes, Tilly, you can speak now. I have allowed your mic. You can unmute and speak.
Yeah. So until that, we can move to Ishan then, right?
Yes,
Yep.
okay. I'm gonna allow the mic to Ishan. Go ahead, Ishan.
Yes, so two questions. One was similar to Tini's question. So in terms of data, you mentioned that you can integrate with third-party apps. What about third-party data sets? So just a use case that I was just thinking was we have some data in SAP and we might have some external data. And I noticed in your diagram, you showed that you have that middle data layer that can take SAP and non-SAP data sets. So so my question was, can we create a type of logics or programs for the agents to perform using both SAP and non-SAP data and build in rules to handle that data?
Yes, thank you, Sean. Great question. So yes, we do have, so Business Data Cloud will have SAP data products, which is that SAP data that you were mentioning. But then other third-party applications, companies can create their own data products in Business Data Cloud. And then you will be able to consume that data, that independent data, independently or together, the SAP and the non-SAP data products together in those intelligent applications. So yes, you will be able to get non-SAP data in Business Data Cloud and consume it.
Okay, and had one more question in terms of, so like in the examples we saw, I've seen this before in terms of the S4 Cloud and the Fury applications, mostly it shows use cases where we are working on one user working and interacting with one or two records. So they're working at a lower level of handling records, whereas in certain situations we might have mass processing requirements. So basically, like we have quite a load of data which they might be uploading via an Excel or something like that, where they used to update a mass data set and then be processed on those mass data sets. So how would can the AI in S4HANA Cloud handle that sort of scenario? And like, what are the recommendations? Like, what type of UI would that be? Just because it will be like maybe an Excel upload, and then we'll have some type of rules, and then ask the AI to probably perform the actions and probably give us the results, sort of thing. Is that sort of
it
thing?
Is not.
It's probably going more into RPA.
Yeah, and it would depend on the type of data, because it's not the same thing if you're loading projects that if you're loading sales orders or if you're uploading journal entries. So it's going to depend on, because journal entries, you already have a journal entry upload functionality out of the box that does the mass upload. But if you want to load mass project and you want to create it, I guess you would be able to create through SAP Business AI Foundation, create your own use case that is going to be kind of a middle ground, validating what has been uploaded before it gets posted. That's how I would see it.
Right.
But it's not out of the box. You will need to
Okay,
create it.
understood. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tilni?
Oh. I think Tirini is having some problem with her mic.
Yeah, with the mic. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you need this, so you can put in the chat, in the Q&A section, so we can pick it. So otherwise you can put it. So even after the meeting, we can reach you with the answer through an email. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
if there's no other questions, so we can wind up
perfectly
this.
on time.
Yeah, on time. We can wind up the session. So Angel,
thank you, Padum, and
thank you so
everybody.
much. You have covered a lot of areas, starting from business AI to Joule. You take us through a very insightful content. Thank you so much. And all others and everyone. So it's great to see you all with us throughout the session. And we'll try to meet again with another this kind of session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good day.